I was born in Barry, Wales on the 29th of September 1961. My family consisted of my mum, Moira, dad, John, and big sister Alison. A few years after I was born, the family decided to move from Wales to Australia, specifically Adelaide. In 1966, I started school, where I did a bit of debating and was pretty successful at it. This was probably a bit of foreshadowing for my career. After I graduated high school, I went to the University of Adelaide. It was at uni that I found the university's Labour Club and the Australian Labour Party, and I joined both. While at uni, I was elected the head of the union, and I led some protests against Malcolm Fraser's reforms to free education. It felt really good to be fighting for something I cared so strongly about. In 1982, I moved from Adelaide to Melbourne because I was elected as the Education Vice President for the Australian Union of Students. And then in 1963, I was elected as President of the Australian Union of Students. I graduated from uni in 1986 with degrees in arts and law, and then I joined the law firm Gordon & Slater. I worked for Gordon & Slater until 1998, when I won a seat in the House of Reps for my electorate of Laylaw. This was the start of my political career. I was a backbencher in the House of Reps from 1998 until 2001, when I was appointed as a shadow minister for immigration and population and sat on the front bench. In 2004, I met a hairdresser called Tim at the salon I went to. We would chat every 5 to 6 weeks when I got my hair done. Then, in 2006, Tim called my electorate office and asked if I would like to go to lunch. I said, sure, and we've been together ever since. At the end of 2006, Kevin Rudd was voted in as Labour leader, taking the job from Kim Beazley, and I was to be the deputy leader. – 2007 saw us running the Kevin 07 campaign, which was successful, and we now had a new government. I became the very first female deputy prime minister. In those first years working together, Kevin and I achieved some really great things that I'm still so proud of. We really were a dream team. But by 2010, the pressure of government was getting to Kevin, and he seemed to be irritated and stressed all the time. We were overwhelmed with paperwork and it was mounting, but he wasn't getting through any of it. I tried my best to support him, but he would just get irritated. The party started discussing leadership change, but with an election coming up, I wasn't so sure. It wasn't until the newspapers began to question my loyalty that I realised the trust that Kevin and I had was gone, and so was the dream team. I asked for a leadership ballot on June 24th, and I won. The federal election in 2010 came, and unfortunately we didn't get quite enough seats to secure government, but neither did the coalition. So I went into negotiation with the 5 remaining MPs so that we could form a minority government. It was a hard couple of weeks, but eventually they said, okay. I was then able to form my ministry. I kept Kevin Rudd as Minister for Foreign Affairs. I did a lot of things I was proud of as Prime Minister, but I was under constant attack from the media and faced a lot of misogyny as the first female head, and it did start to get to me. In September of 2012, my father passed away, and it was a really hard time for my whole family. One month later, I found myself sitting opposite Tony Abbott in Parliament dealing with the Peter Slipper text scandal, and I ended up giving what is probably the best known speech in my Prime Ministership. To this day, I'm still so proud of what I said in that speech. Earlier that year, on the 22nd of February 2012, Kevin Rudd had resigned from office. 5 days later, on the 27th of February, he had asked for another leadership ballot, but I was still the preferred leader. Fast forward 1 year to 2013, and the national preference for Labour was dropping. It now seemed that the coalition was preferred to the Labour Party, and the Labour Party began to panic. Another leadership ballot was cast between Kevin and I, and this time, Kevin won. Honestly, this was a pretty tough time for me as Prime Minister. I resigned and I left politics after 15 years. Despite their returned leader, the Labour Party still lost the election in 2013 and they returned to opposition. I am still a very strong supporter of the Labour Party and I have great hopes for them in the coming years. As for me, I moved back home to Adelaide with Tim for a bit of rest. In July 2013, I signed a book deal to write about my time in office. This book was released on the 1st of October and is now available in store if you'd like to get one. So there you go, that is my life. It's had some great highs and some pretty terrible lows, but I will always be fiercely proud of what I accomplished as Prime Minister. I just want to say thank you to everyone that supported me along the way and everyone who took the time to watch this video today.